It'll give you a choice of where.
Okay, and it's getting my voice?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about using a variety of different techniques in Etoys to facilitate making games. So I think I need to make this a little bit wider. Is it too late to do that? Oh, it's too late to do that. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is using a joystick. In order to use a joystick, we need some object to control with a joystick. So my default object is always to go and grab an ellipse out of the supplies bin just because it's easy. Okay, so I brought up its halo. I'm going to make it go forward, and I'm going to make it turn. And if I run the script, there it is. But really what I'd like to do is make it go forward by an amount dictated by my joystick. Excuse me. And to turn by an amount dictated by my joystick. So one question is, where is the joystick? And the answer is, it's in the supplies bin. So if you click on the supplies bin, and you pull out the joystick, I guess I should slow down. Somehow having the recording is giving me license to speed, but you're trying to follow along. So now I've got a joystick, and if you bring up a viewer for the joystick, just like all objects, it has many different categories that you can look at in the viewer, but many objects have object-specific categories, and so this has a category called joystick, which tells us things about the joystick. So if you go to that category, you'll see it's got a mount, an angle, a button 1, a button 2, a left, right, and an up, down. So you can play around to see what these might mean, but if you grab the little red joystick handle and move it around in that square, oops, there we go. You can see that here I'm moving left to right, and the left-right is going from -5 to 5. And if I move it down, the up-down property goes to -5, right? Well, it was there, but I can't point and hold the joystick at the same time. But watch right there, and you'll see that go to -5. And now if I move the joystick up, it goes to 5. And also, it shows me the angle. Notice the angle is now 45. So in case I wanted to use that in a computation, I could simply grab the angle tile. So what I'd like to do is to go forward by the up-down. So forward by 5 or backward by 5. So I'm just going to grab the up-down and put it next to the forward by. And I'm going to grab the left-right and put it next to the turn by. And now I can use the joystick. If I push it up, it goes forward. If I push it down, it goes backwards. If I move it left, it turns to the left. If I move it right, it turns to the right. So I can drive in a circle by putting at an angle, forward and right. Okay, so it's behaving exactly the way a joystick would. And if you'd like, you can resize the joystick. The handle kind of gets stuck, but once you click on it, it goes back to the center. And so now you've got a greater range of values that you can affect. The other thing you could do is you could also add math to it. So if it turns out that the joystick was turning far too sharply, you could, for example, divide, just the way we did with the wheel. You could divide the left-right by some amount. So now, if I turn, it's turning much more gradually. But it turns out that you don't really need that. The joystick behaves pretty naturally. So that's a tool that you can put into a game or any project where you want to control the motion of something. Oh, yeah, so you can always expand tiles and get mathematics by clicking on the green arrow that points to the right. And you've got some math, and if you need more terms in your expression, you just keep expanding. And then you can change the operators by clicking on them. Whoops. And you've got plus, minus, times, divide. I think this is integer remainder, this is integer divide, and max and min. And then you can get rid of all this math by clicking on the left pointing arrow to collapse it. Okay, and that's true for any math expression, right? We could do it here as well. Okay, any questions about joystick? Yeah.
Sorry,
Dan.
I know I'm not really just observing, but so I saw how you got it to turn, but can you get it to just move left, right, and up and down without turning?
Oh, you know what? You're right. I probably shouldn't have it turning by the left, right. That's not a natural joystick operation, is it?
I played a lot of Atari.
Okay, see, this just shows how disconnected I am. It shows two things. One is that I'm disconnected from video gaming, and the other is that I'm very used to thinking forward and turn because we have a lot of intro projects that throw in the forward and the turn. So I could get rid of that. Actually, this isn't so unnatural, is it? This is kind of how you would fly, isn't it? Okay, there's two different types of motion when you have a controller. One is relative to the screen, the other is relative to your projection onto the object. This is your projection onto the object. So when you move it right, you're not going right on the screen, you're turning to the right. So you have to imagine yourself in it. If you want a control that moves the object up or down or left or right, you would simply, what would you need to do? You would need to change its x coordinate up or down and change its y coordinate up or down. So this is what I would do. I would go to the ellipses x, and I want to set it. So I'm going to grab the green and white arrow, and I'm going to go to the y, and I want to set that. And what I'd like to do is not make it equal to 503, but increase it by the joystick's up-down. No, the joystick's left-right. That's because it's the x-coordinate. So now, where's my ellipse? Oh, where is it? Where'd it go? Okay, hold on a minute. Ellipse, grab this object. There we go. And now if I move it to the left, it's moving to the left. If I move it to the right, it's moving to the right. And if I wanted to go up and down, I need to make y increase by, oh, it just disappeared.
So now it won't turn though, when you do that, right?
It's increased, right now it won't turn. And now it's increased by 502. So it's way up there. So whenever you lose an object, you can always get it back by going to the viewer and clicking on that little menu and grab the object. But oops, it just went away again. What happens, you might say, if you destroy the viewer? If you have the object, you can bring up the viewer again by clicking on the little eyeball. So that's a reason not to get rid of the viewer, but there are other ways to recover the object. In any case, yeah, I don't want to go there. So let me just make this increase by the joystick's up-down. And let me grab the object again. Nope, grab the object. Okay, and now it goes up, it goes down, it moves to the left, it moves to the right. Okay, good. And if I don't like that, I could, let's see, I could replace the X increase by the turn by. And now I've got the motion which we had originally. No, I don't. I think I need the forward by. It's either X and Y or forward and turn. You need to choose your type of motion. Okay. Okay, so other questions? All right, let's do another one. Keyboard input, very common thing to want to be able to do. Let's make this thing move based on typing on the keyboard. And so you need to know, how do you capture that information? And it turns out that if you bring up a viewer for the world by right-clicking, oops, darn, I made the record window, unfortunately, just a little too small. There, that fixes it. Okay, if you bring up a viewer for the world, like that, right? You right-click on the viewer, and you get a viewer for the world. One of the categories that's available is called input. And you see there's world's last keystroke. And watch what happens as I type, say, the letter A. It changes to A. So this tile tells me what the last keystroke was. So here's how I might use this. I'm going to test. I'm going to grab a test. We've done this before this morning. And I'm going to check, is the world's last keystroke equal to the letter A? If so, well, I want A to mean go to the left. Right? Or if I wanted to use a left arrow there, I think I would need to type this, left. That's how you represent the left arrow. Whoops. Well, you spell it properly. So that would mean the left arrow. But I'm going to just put the letter A in there. A means go to the left, and let's make B mean go to the right. Or maybe Z, or what, well, just D would be natural. Because, and then S is going to be something else. So D is going to mean go to the right. So here I have a choice. What do I want to do? Do I want to increase or decrease the x coordinate? Or do I want to turn the object 90 degrees or set its heading? So there's lots of different ways that we might control it based on the keyboard input. So do we want it to turn in the direction that I indicated by hitting the key? Or do we want it to slide to the left? Say when I hit the A key. So we would execute different commands, right? One would change its heading, the other would change its x coordinate. Right? So let's let it slide over. Okay, so I'm going to change its x coordinate. So I go back here to the ellipse. I'm going to grab its x coordinate, but remember that since I'm going to change the x coordinate, I'm not going to grab this tile, which represents it. I'm going to grab the arrow, which says, you know, affect a change on that variable. So if it's an A, then the ellipsis x should decrease by 5. And now every time I hit A, oh my, look at it, it's starting to go left. But I only hit the A once. Okay, did everyone see that happen? Okay, hold on a moment. Let's take a look at the world's last keystroke. I just hit a J, so it stopped, okay? This is ticking, or it's not ticking, now it's ticking. And it's checking, is the last keystroke equal to A? If so, decrease X by 5. And it's happening over and over again. This isn't doing anything because there's nothing in the yes part or the no part. So now as soon as I hit an A, this will execute, right? And it will decrease by 5. And so let me hit the A once. Why is it still going to the left? The last keystroke is still an A, and this script is still ticking over and over again. So unless I hit another key, right, now there's a trick to make that not happen. What I can do, so here's the trick, I'm going to set the last keystroke equal to something like blue. Let me grab my object. Oops, sorry, it's the ellipse. So now what it does is when I click an A, let's go back to the world so we can see the last keystroke. I hit an A, it moved 5, but what's the last keystroke now? It's blah, blah, blah. Right, so what this did is it decreased X by 5 because the last keystroke was an A, but then it changed the last keystroke to something other than A. So when it executes again, it doesn't, this condition is no longer true. Right? And so now if I wanted to go left, I'd have to keep hitting the A. Now sometimes you might want it, one hit and the thing drifts to the left, one hit and it drifts to the right, in which case you just wouldn't put that in at all. And then I want, if the last keystroke is D, then I want the X to increase by 5. And so now if I hit a D, it should come back eventually. There's my D.